Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Nate.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Mike.
Today we are back with, I believe this is the 16th and final installment of our report on G.K. Chesterton's The Defendant.
Incorrect. We have a bonus episode that's only very tangentially related, but is still going to count.
Yes,
right.
but we're not discussing Chesterton's work in it.
That's fair.
Yes, this will be our last. This will be our last defense on. This will be our last defense of a G.K. Chesterton defense.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. It's a sad day, but I think we finish on a high note.
So, what is good old Gilbert Keith defending this time around, Mike?
Patriotism.
Excellent.
Except we're not talking mom and apple pie.
I don't know. He clearly discusses mom.
Sure, but he's defending weird turn of the 20th century British patriotism. When the sun never set on the British Empire.
That's fair,
I bet
but
they didn't get enough sleep.
I did find a number of things in there that, if you took out if you considered them outside of their time, they still kind of fit.
Oh, absolutely. Especially living as we do, in a sort of American empire.
Yes, where what patriotism is, and what I found most interesting about this one is that for the most part he doesn't actually talk about patriotism.
Nope.
He talks about love.
Well, because what is patriotism other than love of country?
Yes. But in his time, as well as in ours, a great many people misunderstood love, and therefore they also misunderstand love of things.
We are, as a nation, in the truly extraordinary condition of not knowing our own merits. As true of us today as it was of the England of Chesterton's day. So, Jess, what did you want to talk about?
Well, first, I wanted to note, because I was the one who also noted beforehand, if you're reading along, this is one of the few places that he uses a word where it's a very nice quote, except for we can't say one word in the middle. However, he is using a word that we now find offensive in a way that's insulting the people who would use that word. Yes,
and at the time, while, yes, there may have been some people who considered it to be offensive, it was not widespread.
Also, he's British versus American, and so therefore, different terms are deemed more offensive in different places.
Sure. Nevertheless, it's not a word that any of us are comfortable using.
No,
neither on YouTube nor in just private conversation.
So you won't hear it on this episode.
Nope.
But beyond that, I like the main point of this essay,
which is
the part that carries over of. Being patriotic is not about who you've conquered and, military victories, because your country isn't just, a set of battles that you've won.
Why is there not a high central intellectual patriotism? A patriotism of the head and heart of the empire, and not merely of its fists and its boots.
Yes. Which is amazing given what time it was, and the, sun never set on the British Empire at that time. Because that was our go-to thing. Like, we literally have colonies all around the world.
Though, it should be noted that when The Defendant was published in 1902, they were just concluding the Boer War, which was deeply unpopular and a big shock to the general imperialist psyche. Because, well, for the first time, somebody rather successfully fought back, and it was a long, bloody thing and just a, horrible mess.
Yes. They didn't get their normal method of showing up in an inhabited land, putting a flag, and saying, you now belong to us.
Indeed.
But it points out that the true things to be patriotic about are the arts and the culture of a society. Mm-hmm. That the British should be proud because of Shakespeare, not because of they conquered India.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and right before the part that you just quoted, Mike, with the head and the heart, patriotism, I really like a passage that just immediately preceded that, in that, why has the adoration of our patriots been given wholly to qualities and circumstances good in themselves, but comparatively material and trivial? Trade, physical force, a skirmish at a remote frontier, a squabble in a remote continent. Colonies are things to be proud of, but for a country to only be proud of its extremities is like a man being only proud of his legs. Mm-hmm. Here in America, we actually go even further in that we tend to get proud of fingers and toes and completely eschew everything that connects them to the rest of, to everything else.
So, and we've forgotten our own, perhaps, doesn't rival some of our elder European cousins, but our own intellectual and artistic achievements.
Yes.
We have great American poets.
Absolutely.
And no one reads them.
And great
myself included.
And great American thinkers.
Yes, and we do have, a much shorter time in which to acquire all these, great poets and artists and thinkers.
We got a late start.
Yeah.
See, and there's a part at the end that I felt really sort of encapsulated that thought for me. Mm-hmm. It was the part that has the phrase that we are not going to utter.
Yes.
But the point that he makes in this section is that if you were to, rather than looking at England in just its span of time, but rather look at it as a whole, and stretch it out over the course of all time. Basically make all things equal time-wise. That they had produced thinkers so great that they could have hung out with Socrates and Aristotle. They had poets that were so great that they could have easily held their own with any of the great epic legend, the poets of antiquity. Mm-hmm. And we are the same way. We have all these really great accomplishments that if you were to take time out of the equation and just compare us with everything else, we might, as a country, be able to hold our own in a global forum.
And even if just either on quantity or quality, our art doesn't match some other nations, it should still be that in which we take pride and have love of country, not in our unparalleled military power and ability to project power.
Yeah.
Yes, the United States has possessed for the last 7 or so decades an unparalleled war machine. And it has not been used entirely for ill. But that is not the thing that gives America value.
No.
It is everything that war machine is attempting to defend. The civil society, the radically egalitarian culture, the broad religious and political toleration that we've always exhibited.
Yeah. But after that point, he goes and he talks about, and I really find that this is like a great closing for the essay. We are the children of light, and it is we that sit in darkness. If we are judged, it will not be for the merely intellectual transgression of failing to appreciate other nations, but for the supreme spiritual transgression of failing to appreciate ourselves.
You think about how many people, good, Bible-believing Christian people, let their mood be determined by the evening news rather than by the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Unless, of course, you won the lotto.
Unless, of course, you won the lotto, in which case, yes, that should purely determine your happiness.
Well, for the next 5 minutes. I mean, I think that's an allowable amount of, letting the news determine your happiness. And then you should, remember some Bible quote about having treasures in heaven.
The love of money, Jess. The love of money.
But not money, just the love of it. I could donate it to, children, orphans, sad puppies that have ads where they sing songs.
You could.
I'm sure Sally Struders needs the money.
You could. But would you?
How long has it been since she's been a spokesperson?
20 years? I don't know.
It's been forever.
None of our viewers are going to remember this.
It was formative!
If you happen to know how long it's been since Sally Struders was a spokesperson for anything, please feel free.
The children.
Yes, it was Feed the Children.
No, I'm willing to suggest that it's anything. It's been a long time. If you are aware of it, please feel free to let us know down in the comments below.
Also, comment below with the great things about American civilization. Not America, but the American people.
Yes. Make sure you go and you hit the subscribe button and the bell right next to it so you get notified when we have our next episode coming out. Lent is coming up soon, and we are going to be having a lot of interesting stuff going on during Lent, so make sure you are subscribed. You don't want to miss a thing. Also hit that like button, not so much for our egos, but more for the fact that it helps make us more visible to other people who might be looking for what the type of things that we produce.
Other people who need to be reminded that,
God loves
we
them.
are the children of light.
Yeah.
People who are sitting in darkness and need not to do so.
And until next time, remember...
So, just broadly, thank you for joining us on this adventure through G.K. Chesterton's The Defendant.
Yes. Thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. If you have other books that you think might make for a good book report series for us to do, please feel free to let us know in the comments below.
Extra brownie points if that includes Hilaire Belloc's The Great Heresies.
Probably because you're in the middle of reading it right now, aren't you? Yeah.
He's so angry.
Also, extra brownie points to the first person to suggest that we should try and do the Summa Theologiae. We will not do that. It's too much.
3 books!
Actual brownie points to anyone who can explain why sometimes it's the Summa Theologiae and sometimes the Summa Theologica. Is there a distinction?
I imagine it's because no one speaks Latin day to day.
Fair.
Yeah. And until next time, remember to live your faith.
Love your faith.
Share that love.
The decay of patriotism in England during the last year or two is a serious and distressing matter. Only in consequence of such a decay could the current lust of territory be confounded with the ancient love of country.